Welcome back to the Center for Geospatial Analytics Compelling Research Presentations video series. In this video, we're going to cover delivery, how the way that you deliver a talk helps to make that talk engaging, and how to make a virtual presentation really work for you as the presenter. There are several big things that will help to keep your audience tuned into you as you speak. Let's cover a few. First is eye contact. For an in-person presentation, I encourage you to make eye contact with your audience to avoid reading your slides or talking to the screen. It can be very helpful to find a few friendly faces in different parts of the audience and cycle between them. For a virtual presentation, I encourage you to make eye contact with your camera. It does feel odd to do it first, but you will get used to it. When you make eye contact with your camera, it feels to the virtual audience like you are talking to us and adds that personal dimension, even though we're all in a virtual space. Second, your voice. Convey excitement. If you sound interested in what you're saying, your audience will be too. This excitement, though, must be genuine for it to be effective. Also, smile when you speak. Humans are really skilled at telling when an unseen speaker is smiling. So even if you are presenting virtually and your camera is off, we will hear you smile. Make sure you speak slowly enough for your audience to follow you, as if you're having a conversation. Remember, you want us to understand everything that you say. And be sure to vary the tempo and pitch of your voice so you aren't speaking in a monotone. Also be careful of using like, you know, right, and other fillers. You can even use the memo function of your smartphone to record yourself to pay attention if these are habits that you tend to have. Also, be careful of making your voice go up at the end of statements. This is called uptalk, and audiences find it very annoying. Thirdly, language. Use the same language that your audience uses. So use jargon only when you are sure that everyone in your audience will understand it. Use active voice rather than passive. Active voice is, I made a map, instead of, a map was made. Generally, we tend to use active voice in conversation. Also, avoid overly technical explanations whenever possible, and craft what you are going to say so that it sounds natural. Remember that you are your audience's personal guide through what you have to say. So practice speaking to your audience in a way that will keep them interested and following along with you every step of the way. Part of being a good guide for your audience is to actively draw their focus to what you want them to notice at any particular time. This may seem really basic, but it's also really important to make the audience's experience the best that it can be. If you're presenting in person, you might make hand motions or use a laser pointer to draw the focus of your audience. In a virtual presentation, it's important to use both audio and visual cues to draw attention to different parts of your slide and keep people following along with you. Direct people's attention where you want them to look verbally. So in the upper right portion of the pie chart, as an audience member, I want to hear that sort of thing, so I know explicitly where to look. Visually, use colors, arrows, circles, etc., or animating images or text to come in a little bit at a time, whatever it may be, so that we're right there with you every step of the way. Now, I think there are some great advantages to presenting virtually because you can tailor your delivery and your presentation of yourself. In some ways, presenting remotely can be even easier than in person. First, you have a lot more control over your setup. At a conference, it's always a gamble whether the hardware and software will work the way you intended, if it will be compatible with the version of PowerPoint you used at home, for example. But your computer is yours, and that's a big advantage in terms of making yourself comfortable and having everything work the way that it should. You also have more control over how you look. If you're going to be on camera, pay attention to what you are wearing, what is behind you, and make sure that you are well lit. This first picture is an example of poor lighting. Instead of being backlit or in shadow, make sure to illuminate your face. I was able to accomplish this with a little LED lamp that I clipped to the bookshelf above my desk. Also try to frame your face. Have your camera at eye level And don't have us looking up your nose, please. Another advantage of a virtual presentation is that you can rely on your notes more, particularly if you turn the camera off, but this can be done with the camera on. I will tell you, you heard it from me, that it is okay to read a script that you have written out for yourself, as long as we, your audience, cannot tell that you're doing it. I call this using a script and pretending that you're not. And there is a bit of an art to this. It's like a performance. Think about it like using a teleprompter, like a newscaster would, or a talk show host. And the trick is to write your script the way a person, that is you, would speak. And I'm going to give you an example of this. So I'd like you to close your eyes and just listen for a moment. I'm going to read two things to you. So here we go. First thing I'm going to read. During migration, birds spend considerable time and energy at stopover sites, where they accumulate the necessary nutritional resources for completing the next leg of their journeys. At stopover sites, migratory songbirds build their fat stores in relation to the distance they must fly to reach their destination. Songbirds then use stopover sites after long flights to recover fat, lean, and/or water mass they have lost during the course of those flights. Okay, you can open your eyes now. I'm guessing you might have even zoned out for a few seconds there. Did that sound natural? Was it memorable? I'm guessing the answer is no. The text that I read to you is from a manuscript that I published during my PhD. It's text that was meant to be read by someone, not spoken and listened to during a presentation. Okay, second thing I'm going to read. Are you ready? Feel free to close your eyes again. Let's imagine a typical migration scenario with stopovers, where we have a long migratory flight and we have a before period when a bird is preparing for that flight, and we have an after period when the bird is recovering. In the before period, the bird prepares for migration by putting on fat. In the after period, after a migratory flight, birds begin to rebuild the fat that they burned. Okay, you can open your eyes again now. What did you think of that? What is the difference? Repetition of key words, short sentences, more conversational. That text that I just read you was modified from an award-winning talk that I gave about my dissertation research. It was the very same research that was the subject of that manuscript. So these are examples of how I might write something versus the way that I might say something. So here are my tips for writing a script that sounds natural and for reading without sounding like you're reading. First, make it conversational. Use short sentences and repeat important terms or concepts. Add bold or all caps in your script for words that you want to emphasize. And add dashes for pauses so that you give enough time for important concepts to land. Now that covers how to prepare to read your script. What is a way that you can do it without people realizing it? You can actually trick Zoom into letting you use presenter view in PowerPoint or Google Slides. And here's how to do it. When you go to share your screen in Zoom, a window will open asking if you want to share your desktop or an application window. And up at the top, you'll see a basic tab, which is the default, plus advanced. Click advanced. That will bring you to a new set of options. Select portion of screen. And that will give you a green box that you can resize to whatever size you'd like. That is the only portion of your screen that people will see. Then, when you launch Presenter View in PowerPoint or Google Slides, simply use that box to frame only the main portion of your talk. Voila! This video was about how to make a talk engaging, and the next video will cover how to make an engaging talk. In the meantime, consider techniques you already use to engage your audience. How have they been effective? And what techniques might you try in the future? See you in video 4.